What up? What up? What up? What up? What's going on, everybody? Yes, sure. Yes, sure. Yes, sure. We're going to talk about it today. But while we getting ready to talk about it, let's set the mood right. Let's go. We talking about kills. Let's go. So sexy, you right next to me. I like this. Baby girl, you're teasing me. Want your body? Jump in my car. I don't mean to make no sense, but you're that girl in my dreams. On the yacht, sipping drinks. Conversation is like a fantasy. Cost money, I feel so hardly good. Nigga, what's good? I was gonna do like this. For real girls, this is how it is. At the basketball game with a couple of chicks. At the mall, go shopping with a couple of chicks. In the hotel, going with a couple of chicks. And I'm even at the club with a couple of chicks. Girl, you're so sexy. You right next to me. I'm jumping my car. Now, here we are. Baby girl, you're teasing me. Want your body. I'm jumping my car. Now, here we are. Girl, so sexy. You right next to me. I'm jumping my car. What's up? 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 Y'all see how we do? Hold on. Hold on. Ugh. Had to get some things right. Yep. Yep. Had to get some things right. I don't know what's going on. Like, okay, hold on. Hold on, gotta get things together. Know what's going on? All right, gotta get it straight. Gotta get it right. Make sure. There we go. What's going on, everybody? We here for part 2 tonight. The highly anticipated part 2 that I was talking about.
Okay. I don't got time for that. All right. So we here real quick. You know what I mean? Just we gonna do this situation. It's good. Everything's fine. Yeah. They getting everything right. Your audio is connected, Miss Shawn. There
What up, DJ?
you go. Is this better?
Yes.
See? Okay. See, hey, can y'all hear her out there with no feedback? Let's see what they say. Can y'all hear her out there with no feedback? Can y'all hear me, Shawn, out there with no feedback? No feedback. Mm-mm. All right, cool.
What church was you raised in?
Cool. Huh?
What church were you raised in?
I started out in Bethel AME, and then I went to a Baptist church because I moved out that area. Then I went to First Charity Baptist. Then from there I ended up at a couple of us that I don't even want to just talk about. I went over there, but I landed a couple of others, and then when I got to Atlanta, I ended up at Love Fellowship Tabernacle.
Okay.
So that's where it's at. And good. They said the sound is good. This is what I should have did on Friday.
Yeah, this is perfect.
Okay.
No feedback.
No feedback, no nothing. That's what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna say, where do you want to start? You know what? I know where to start off at. Let's pray first.
Sounds great.
Father God, in the name of Jesus, I'm thanking you right now for allowing Miss Shawn to come and letting us discuss our dearest brother, Robert Cecil Kelly, as well as to go over some imperfections that a person that she was raised with by the name of Mr. Donnell Russell and the lies that he imparted into the YouTube family. Lord, I ask you, can you get everybody a clear mind, a clear spirit, and just a willingness to hear and listen and not be so quick to judge. In Jesus' name I pray. I know you'll do it. Amen. All right.
Amen.
So where we left off at, we was talking about how Miss June and Don work as a team. So today, and we're going to listen to some audio. We're going to look at some slideshows. We're going to look at some stuff that Donnell Russell himself has put out there. Starting with the first item, which is the item that got him caught up for real. So the first item, hold on, let me go here. Let me get it. The first item is the notarized letter. This item is the item that he claims that he didn't do, nor did his mom do. And he claimed that his mom is innocent. I'm gonna make it big so that way people can see exactly what's going on. Let's look at it. Miss Shawn, can you see it?
Absolutely.
Okay. And the letter says, I, Robert Cecil Kelly, an Illinoisan of Chicago, Illinois state, make oath and say, hereby affirm that 1, I do not accept this offer to contract, and I do not consent to these proceedings. 2, I am exempt and not subject to this court, so I do not know why you are even addressing me or why you continue to address me when I do not accept this offer to contract, and I do not consent to these proceedings. 3, I am of flesh and blood, that A is supposed to be of, if you're going to word it correctly. I am a flesh and blood, living, breathing American national and native of Illinois. Ms. Shawn, man, you talked about that, but I want you to put that in the back of your mind when I said American national. So, okay, I'm gonna come back to that. For a private agreement is mutually agreed upon and entered into the 14th day of the 9th month and the year of our source. It's not supposed to be source, it's supposed to be service. 2017 between the juristic person. No, it don't supposed to be juristic. Robert Sylvester Kelly Corporated. That's what the Circle C mean, corporation. Also known by any, which is supposed to be many, and all derivatives and variations in the spelling of said name except Robert Sylvester Kelly. Hereafter, jointly and severely debtor. And the living, breathing, flesh and blood man, known by the distinctive appellation Robert Sylvester Kelly Corporation, hereinafter creditor. I think I can stop right there.
Scroll down. Let me see that signature at the bottom because it looked familiar. Okay.
Do you recognize for the signature?
It looks familiar, but I don't know the name.
What about the witness signature? Because I know whose signature this is.
Who was that?
Robert don't write like that.
Yeah. Well, for me to think it looks familiar.
So I'm gonna scroll down. Wait. You see this signature, right? And you see this signature, right? Look kind of identical, right?
Well, I definitely know that signature.
Right. So she stamped her name as saying that she was a notary. This is the letter that's now in the hands of the federal government. She signed it and she stamped it. June Barrett, her commission number, her current commission date.
Hold on. Leave that right there.
Okay. Do you want me to put it up starting with her name?
Yeah, go back.
Right there? Or you want me to go up anymore?
No.
Okay.
Okay, scroll down. All right.
Now, it says the surety was deactivated, right? She got a bond number. She got a key number. So my question was, how was she able to get her stamp on her pad? Well, this is what they do in Chicago. Because I know here in Georgia, and you can't get your stamp in your pad until you go through everything. So what happened was she took out a surety commission, but she didn't pay it all the way through, which disqualifies you from being a notary in Chicago. So if you notice, she don't have a commission right here since 10/23/19. A first or second, and she don't have it. Okay. 11/15/16, Merchants Bonding Company, right? It's the same bonding company, but that bonded Don out of jail for that weed charge that I was telling you about. So that's where she went back to, because I guess, and she developed a friendship with that person. So with this being said, I'm going to go here. We got the signatures, and we know that that's not Robert's signature. But they went as far as going and get an autographed stamp pad. And in an autographed stamp pad, this is what they put. Now, the words that I want to focus on is when I showed you how they going by American national, but she's a sovereign citizen. A sovereign citizen is a terrorist. and they are known from the federal government as a terrorist organization. That's why she didn't put sovereign citizen. They put American national. Because American national is what I was telling you about. American national have rules. We go by the law of the land. And we don't live by the corporation. And see, and what I was trying to tell people is when you mix public and private, you can be put in jail for the rest of your life for confusing the courts. That's what this did right here. This is confusing the courts, because now you're trying to say that Mr. Kelly is a corporation, which we know he is because it's in all caps. But the problem is, if he's in corporation here in all caps, how can he be a corporation in proper noun right here? Impossible. Proper noun is first letter capitalized on each name. That means proper person, but he got a corporation sign beside it. That's confusing the courts. And you can't be a corporation and a human being corporation. Impossible. What he should have did, if he put it like that, he should have put appellation Robert Sylvester Kelly, DBA, and then put the capital Robert Sylvester Kelly and then the C. Then it would have made sense. But then he turned around and said, right here, it says Robert Sylvester Kelly, also known by any and all derivatives and variations in the spelling of said name except Robert Sylvester Kelly. Here's the whole thing. You saying that here corporation here, then you saying he's not a corporation here, then you come back not even a sentence later and call him a corporation. It's not making sense. That's what drew the red flags. That's one part. The second part is, if you are a sovereign citizen, why are you running as an American national? That's what's going to make them, that's what's going to make the courts call jurisdiction. And when this was sent in from the lady Walrus, or we call her Walrus over here, she sent this in to Doug Anton. Doug Anton had to send it in and to show that Robert is not the one that did this, that it was Don Russell. So with this being said, Don Russell got mad, and you're going to hear it in the soundbite later on. And you're going to hear it that blatantly they meant well, but they lied. And when you lie, it catches up. Because first of all, what is an Illinoisian? Have you ever heard of that term?
No.
I've never heard of an Illinoisian. So you can't make up words and then play in the court of a corporation. So with this letter, I'm going to scroll up and you'll see how Sylvia sent this to Mr. Anton, and you see it right here. And she CC'd me, she tagged me, she tagged a couple other people. But how do you send a letter about a person and then you turn around and root for the person? I need you to help me with that, because maybe I'm slow to something.
Well, I took pictures of it, because I have my own theories about it. And
speak your theories. That's why we're here. You know what? You home now. We gonna talk. And we ain't just gonna bash, and we gonna talk, because people need to know the truth. And not just your truth or Don's truth, but people need to know the truth. Right. And everybody else is fascinated about having you. I'm glad that you're here on the Dana J show, and we love you over here, but we have to get your voice out. So more importantly, more than your beautiful face is sitting there smiling, we want to hear the truth from your voice.
Wow. Yeah. So I don't know. I know it all seems suspect because which is why I took a picture of those numbers, because I have a aunt who owns a naturopathic clinic, and
Okay.
she told me that, well, I was sharing this with her, this part of the situation, and she basically was like, wait, wait a minute, my notary came up missing, a while ago, you know what I mean? And my mother used to periodically work for her. So I don't, I don't know if that's hers. I don't know like what those numbers mean, but I'm definitely going to send it over to her so that she can double check her stuff to make sure that she's not entwined in it as well.
Hold on. Wait. Say it again. You said.
So she's technically my cousin, but she's older than my mother. So I call her Auntie Ma. So
Okay.
she has a naturopathic clinic that my mother has periodically worked in over the years.
Okay.
And I was sharing with her some of the stuff that was going on. And she said, wait a minute, what the fuck? My notary came up missing a few years, like a while ago. And I'm like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't expecting that to be her response when I shared that information with her. I was just telling her what was going on. So for you to have that document, and those numbers, I'm definitely going to give them to her so that she can just double check, because she has a reputable clinic, and I would hate to see her being entangled in the fuckery, unbeknownst to her.
Right. Well, that's news to us. So now people stealing notaries. Okay.
I don't know. I don't know how it works. I've never really seen one, examined one personally. I don't know what you can do, if you can alter it, I don't know. I'm just going to relay it to her, because if that is what happened, that's once again bogus as hell.
Wow.
So again, I don't talk to him, but we all part of the same family, and family talks.
It's sad that family can't be family.
Very.
It's sad that family can't be family. So what I'm gonna show you now is Exhibit B. Exhibit B is what came from the courts, from Miss Britton, from the state. I don't know if y'all can see it, but I don't think it'll let me get any bigger. It clearly says, per our conversation, I called back to the Secretary of State Notary Department. I spoke with Lisa. Hold on. It says, per our conversation, I called back to the Secretary of State Notary Department. And this is coming from the Warriors. You see that name. I spoke with Lisa, phone number 217-558-2972. And she said your office needs to send an email to her supervisor to request the information we spoke about. Her supervisor name is Vanessa Britton, and here's the email. Evidently, this lady, which she's known to do, posed as a federal worker. That's the only way I can get of somebody saying that their office need to send an email. And then I guess she did that. She made up some type of email and made it like her office sent it. And then the response was, here are my findings. June Barrett is Don Russell's mother. She notarized a letter that was sent to court. Her notary status is inactive. She never completed the process for obtaining a certificate to be able to legalize documents. Therefore, per Lisa, she was not allowed to perform any notary services in the state of Illinois. Also, it looks like R. Kelly's signature was forged on a document submitted on September the 30th, 2019 to the court, item number 231.
Right. So that signature that you showed me, and I said it looked familiar, it looked like Donnell's handwriting.
Exactly. But that's why I said I know that signature.
Mm-hmm.
But if you let him tell it, we don't know it. Me and him don't know each other.
Well, I do.
If if you let him tell it. So how do you feel as far as like being his sister by blood, but not by relation, if you understand what I'm saying? Y'all have the same blood, but that blood don't transform to you and yours. It just stay with him and his mamas and y'all mamas. How do you feel that to know that the federal government have the keys and the tools to possibly not just do what they're going to do to your brother, but to possibly pull your mama into this? And it's a great possibility that she's going to be sitting in the next cell next to him.
I mean, I just feel like very disappointed. I feel that I just wish that she had at least the same care and concern that she has for him towards herself, because she'll go through hot water and hell to make sure that he's good and to cover and protect him, but she won't put forth that same energy to cover and protect herself. And this is just not acceptable. Like, because here's the deal. If somebody loves you, you know that they'll do anything for you, right? But if you love them as much, there are certain things you just won't ask them to do. You won't ask them to put themselves in compromising positions, or do anything that would result in their demise because you love them as well. And so, right. I mean, I know that it's fear based on both ends. I know that they're operating from a premise of fear, for fear of, her maybe feeling that he won't accept her, or he won't love her, or he won't do or be whatever it is she feels or she wants him to be. I don't know. And for him, his is just a little different. You know what I mean? It's scandalous. You know what I mean? He got some other issues, coupled with fear in there. You know what I mean? Because he's a predator, and he preys off of individuals that do possess a spirit of fear. You know what I mean? He preys off of individuals who are, broken, for lack of a better term, or up against something that they don't really understand or see how they can find a way out of it. And so he presents himself as the end all be all. And for her to just allow him, I mean, because you got to love yourself, and regardless of the fact that he's your child or that you have children, you aren't helping them if you are allowing them to put you in a position so that you can't help them. You know what I'm saying? Because if you end up behind bars on the strength of the fact that this is your child, then how are you any good to anybody? You can't help yourself. You can't help him. You can't do anything. Right. You know what I mean? So how do you not have enough care and concern for self that you would allow anybody, be it, a relationship, your child, to put you in certain circumstances? It just doesn't make sense. And you have to be broken in order to do that, in order to adapt that mindset.
That's sad.
You have to be broken. And it's just really unfortunate that he exploits that to the 10th power, because he knows she's broken. He knows her vulnerabilities more than anybody. And he doesn't care, because again, if he did, he wouldn't do it. And if she, had any type of self-preservation, care, love, respect for herself, she wouldn't agree to doing it. Because I don't even know the depth of everything that has transpired, but just from the things that I've been shown, why, like, why would you do this to yourself?
So let me ask you this question. Why do you think she allows herself to be put in Donnell's situation? Because from what I'm hearing, these last situations that she put herself into, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. If the federal government really wanted to be brutal about that letter, that's fraud.
Mm-hmm.
And not just fraud on the state, that's fraud on a public service. So therefore, that's 40 years by itself. If they wanted to be that brutal, but they can just make her do 40 years, which she would never come home again. So I'm just trying to figure out, where do you think she went wrong with Darnell? Because it seemed like, to me, out of all the stories I hear about Miss June, is that she just want to make sure he's good. Like he's the golden child. Like he's sitting in the cage talking about, I want the knife. So I'm just trying to figure out, where do you think she went wrong at? Because we all can make assumptions, but only y'all know.
So before you can allow someone to put you in a situation like that, you had to go wrong within yourself. You had to be okay with betraying yourself. You had to be okay with being the victim. You had to be okay with living in a fearful position. You had to come into agreement with this. You understand what I mean?
Okay.
Subconsciously, you had to be okay with being in agreement with being in a state of brokenness for you to allow this into your life. Because if someone demonstrates to you that they are not down for you, regardless of what age they are, you have the power. You make a choice, then a conscious effort. Either you come into agreement with it or you don't. Simple as that. And so because she, for whatever reason, has been or is broken, she allowed him, she's allowed him to do everything that he's done. She is essentially giving her power to him. You know what I'm saying? When that ideology and that whole dynamic solidified in her brain, only God and herself can tell you that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You can see a conscious build of it, which again is the reason why I'm releasing the book, so that people can go back and even identify some of these subtle patterns within themselves or even their life based upon individuals that they're dealing with. Because it's a progression. It's a slow and steady race, and you never ever actually get to your destination until the person that victimizes you is done with you.
Okay.
And he can be done with you by throwing you away. He can be done with you by you dying or him ending up in jail. But whatever that final destination is, only they know that. You know what I'm saying? And so again, I just feel like, again, you can go to the channel, L. Shawn Russell, purchase the book and get a better understanding of it, because we're all dealing with a sense of brokenness in one aspect or another in our lives. We are a broken people essentially, and there are generational curses that are passed down. And until you are courageous enough to look at the man in the mirror and identify the weaknesses in you, keep it real with you, you'll never be able to rise above it. And so a lot of times, because we've been trained and raised to be a certain way, we have a hard time with accepting change. You know what I'm saying? So maybe it was something that she witnessed in her mother that made her believe or feel that this is the submissive role that she wants to take, and that dynamic was misinterpreted. It was misunderstood, and that's the position that she chose to take.
So technically, is it safe to say that you're a victim behind this?
I mean,
I guess what I mean by that is by the way you were treated, and by the way that, and you had to protect yourself from Darnell and June.
The difference is that because it was just me and I didn't have the resources that are readily available for individuals, I didn't know how to seek out counseling. I didn't know how to remove myself and maybe go to a shelter. I didn't know how to communicate my issues to therapists and doctors and teachers and whoever I came in contact with. So I relied and learned to listen to God, which is the reason why I can tell you God gave me the revelation and the insight, because I'm looking for him in everything. If I'm watching a movie, I'm ready for him to communicate with with me. I'm ready for him to give me a message, because we all have trials. We all have tribulations. And the Bible says, seek and you shall find. So I'm looking for him in everything, because it also says, do not put your trust in man. You understand what I'm saying? Right. So I know that God is gracious and powerful enough to give me what I need. So I never really looked at it that way, because I'm a vessel. You know what I'm saying? I'm a vessel, and I understand that it's just what I choose to embrace. Do I choose to embrace this flesh that has been through hell, or do I choose to embrace the spirit that's inside of me? You know what I'm saying? Because it's like we put too much power on what's on the outside versus the inside. So it's all the same as if I went to, or you came to me and you said, Shawn, I'm thirsty, you know, and I took this tea and I poured it in my hands and I'm trying to give it to you. Well, you know, you might drink it out of my hands, but if I take it and I put it in this vessel, if I put the water in this vessel, and as simple as this plastic this plastic seems useless, but if I put the water in this vessel and I give it to you, then you see the full purpose and potential of something as simple as a plastic bottle. You see what I mean? As simple as it, and that's what we are. And so I learned to not really focus on what they were doing, but listen to what my lesson was, because I came to the understanding that in order for me to get the blessing, I got to get the lesson. That part right there. I mean, it's a lot of people just think that we just here. No, we're here for a reason. Whether it's to impact you, to teach you, or to keep you, you are here for a reason. And what I learned the hard way is, when God put people in your life for a season, selfishly, we want to keep them for a lifetime. And then when things go wrong, we blame everything on God. No, God was there, put us there for a season, not for a whole lifetime. So you up here preaching today. Question. I mean, you got to understand, you know, not just who you are, but whose you are. And when you truly understand whose you are, then you move differently. Right. You understand what I mean? You know that you're supposed to pour into to individuals that come into your life. You know that you are a vessel. And so because I am a vessel, I can birth life. I can pour life into you. The Bible says that life and death lies in the power of the tongue. Right. And those things as though they were. I could show you text messages from my mother telling me my kids wasn't going to be shit. And I tell her right then and there that you cannot curse my children with your mouth. You understand what I'm saying? Like, wow. I speak against it because I understand the power of the tongue and I stand firm. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't understand who you are, and more importantly, whose you are, what dwells inside of this body, inside of this vessel, then you will feel like a victim. And I refuse to give them that type of power, because I know who I belong to. Right. So, question, let me ask you this. Because today I did a live earlier separating Don from Robert, separating Richard Arline from Robert, separating Michael Williams from Robert. What would be your analysis on you knowing how your brother is, and these other two individuals are close to your brother or was used by your brother, and Robert really didn't know them? So for people who are just coming in, who would think Robert knows these guys just by headlines that they're spinning, and YouTubers or people that's on YouTube that want to align them with Robert, I told him today, I said, if you do that, Robert would never see the light of day, because he's going to get all of their charges and whatever they want to try to hit him with. Can I say, even if Robert beats again all of these bogus charges,
The RICO Act says you have to know a person, and you don't have to do it. But if you know the person that did it in your name, you are guilty. And by him being the head name, they trying to make him the front runner or the head of the enterprise, which there is no enterprise. Because at first, they just had Robert as an enterprise. And we all know that one man can't be no enterprise. Mm-hmm. So my analysis and my findings was they couldn't use me. They couldn't use Will. They couldn't use nobody else that knew him further than me. So they used the only great dummy there is. And by him saying, oh, I've been knowing him for 30 plus years and this and this and this, that was the key that most people think got Robert. But I'm going to be honest with you. I went back as far as Michael Avenatti, and I put some calculation together. Michael Avenatti used to frequent at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffle in Long Beach. That's where he used to go 3 times a week. So it's ironic that he comes out and say, setting up the Golden Goose was easy. 2 months after that, Don Russell reappears. As he say, he reappears and he gets in front of a camera when nobody told him to and nobody approved it. And he starts saying, Robert have a problem. Robert liked young girls. Robert did record females. Yes, these tapes are available. So in the midst of that, Robert just getting out of state jail, which I'm putting it together where it gave the feds the green light to say, I see him leaving jail with Robert. He claims that he knows Robert. And then he's admitting that Robert have X, Y, and Z, yada, yada, yada. Let's go pull him in. So then when they went and pulled him in, he sat with the feds for a week, ate lunch and dinner with the feds. Then he pops back up around and start asking people questions that he never asked him before. 2 days after he popped back up, they come get Robert. So I'm saying to myself, I don't know if it's that timeline of what happened right then and there, but when you look at the factual statements of it is if they never had Don to go on a platform and give an interview like that, they could never say it's true. But with Don help to create the RICO, now they can say, okay, it's true. Even when he went on certain platforms, he clearly stated, oh, if anything happened to me, they can go look at my sister. That's a Fed. That's a Fed enrichment. That's what you say when you know the feds are watching you and you're trying to bring other people in. Even when it goes down to other interviews, he just start throwing people names out there. And when you're throwing these people names and the feds are watching you, you become under a microscope. But my question was, I just had to give you a little semi background. And my question is, what do you think about that? By you being from the streets?
Well, first of all, everybody wants to be on a winning team. That's first and foremost. So regardless of whether your team consists of you and you alone, or you got, a group of individuals that's riding behind you, everybody wants to be on a winning team. So the first thing they need to do is ask why, like why they are or have positioned themselves, because basically to me, it's a situation that and they're basing it on what it looks like, not what it is. And things aren't always what they look like. You can, I can meet you in a room and not have known you, but you a celebrity. I go up to you and take a picture, and then I put this picture up, but that don't mean that I got all the history that I got with you. You understand what I'm saying? Fact. So it's been, to me, it's based on what it looks like. You know what I'm saying? And that's the biggest era that I see, because if they don't have, and they also need to really get to the bottom of the dynamics of each individual relationship, right? Because if he's feeding this person or any of them for any particular reason, and they feel like their meal ticket is threatened, then that don't mean that somebody got to tell them to go and do X, Y, and Z. They just feel like their meal ticket is being threatened. They made the executive decision in their mind to do what they felt was best to save it, or in Donnell's case, he's moving in a totally different direction because his motive is different, because he's benefiting and doing what he's doing and capitalizing off of Rob being locked up. Their motive might be something totally different. So you got to get to the bottom of the motive. What is the motive behind each individual person? Look at the relationship. Well, Donnell wasn't on any payroll. He wasn't capitalizing off of Rob's freedom. So now he has an opportunity to capitalize off of him being locked up. So that's his motive. You understand what I'm saying? I don't know the other individuals, but if you look at the relationship outside, then you could kind of get a gist of the direction and why they went in that direction. Wow. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I see why they went in that direction, and because it seems more convincing. If I can paint a picture versus having, let me do it this way. It seems more convincing if I can screen record a picture and without having the original picture. That means I can alter the screen recording how I want it to fit versus having the original picture where I can't do nothing with it. Mm-hmm. I got to have the original paintbrushes and everything else to go with that. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying?
I mean, but you have people that are, frauds, and they know how to forge anything.
Right.
And when you're dealing with someone that is a career criminal, they're always going to be 10 steps ahead of you, thus a con man. You know what I'm saying? Like Bernie Madoff, like they specialize in what they do, and they're not going to move in a manner that really makes sense to the average person looking at it from the outside looking in, because you and I can look at a situation and see like, dude, this is not going to turn out favorable for you. But in their mind, they've convinced themselves that they're going to come out on top, which is why they go through such, extreme measures to cover it up, and, fake car break-ins and all of this extra stuff, because I got to make this work, even if it means that I got to go a step further and a step further. And what can I do to plant a seed and give a seed of doubt to what is being said? That's all they need. They need somebody to just buy this seed that they're planting in your head, because again, it's not what it is. It's what it looks like. It looks like my car was being broken into. That's all people need to see. Now they're not even taking it a step further to say, well, how the hell did they know they know that I was going to have this in the back seat at this given moment in time? Like, come on. Like what he's saying takes an operation to pull off, not one individual.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? As far as the car situation, like what he's saying, it takes a team of individuals. I don't know how long you're going to sleep. I might have to go over here and take a piss. When I come back, you done drove off. Like that takes a team of individuals to pull off. You can't do that with one person. You going here, there. They don't know where you're going to end up. But I know that this particular day, I have the perfect window of opportunity to break in your car. No, it doesn't work that way. But it looks like that. So all I need to do is put up this image And this is what you all see. And you're gonna make your decision based on what it looks like, not what it is.
Right. Right. That makes abundance of sense. So I'm gonna ask you this: based on what you know and the people that you know and the folks that you talk to over the past month, I'm gonna ask you this: would you say that Donnell was part of Robert's camp?
No.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. Exhibit C is what I'm about to show. I'm glad you said that. Exhibit C, where it all started between me and him. Hold on. Let me see. You gotta get it. Exhibit C. There you go. This is where it all started between me and Donnell. Share screen. Where's that? Here it is. Here it is. I'll make it big so y'all can see it. So the message says RSK's task force just convened from a 2-hour strategy session. Brian Nix is the only attorney that has RSK's consent to receive funds in his honor. Doug been fired. Others are headed out the door soon after per RSK's demand. For now, Greenberg has been restricted. RSK is in good spirits. He acts to tell his fans, to tell all his fans that have been praying for him, writing him, and sending commissary money. Thank you from the bottom of his heart, and he loves you. When you see that, what comes to mind, Shawn?
Well, he don't give a damn enough to even write something like that about anyone sincerely. That's all part of him planting seeds that he has a more intimate relationship with Rob than he does, period. Because again, it's what it looks like. And based on this supposed personal message that you've released, that based on information that I mean, like you got this directly from lawyers and Rob, and it's no, I mean, why? No.
Wow. Wow.
I mean, and people have to they have to be, people respond based on emotions, and they don't even realize that they're doing it all the time, and most people are not truly in control of their emotions. So they'll see something and they'll run with it, not realizing that they're being manipulated along the way. If I need, $10,000 and I'm putting this post up saying that, I just had this meeting and he's cool, he's in great spirits, and, his lawyer, this and that and the third, it looks like y'all tight and he's communicated this to you, but that doesn't mean that's the case.
And see, and when I went to the lawyers about it, right, the first thing they said to me, because I actually went to the lawyers when I seen him on the Bolski's channel, and I seen the stuff that he had, and I was the first one to call. Like, yo, look at this, quick, jump in. And they was like, what the hell? And I was like, the stuff that was stolen from out of the studio. So I guess they, right. So I guess they inventoried it. And I don't know what happened after that. But what gets me is when I looked at that, I got so upset to the point where folks was like, Dana, take a back seat for a second. And I said, what? And I'm going off. Like, yo, what you mean? That's Rob's stuff. Yo, can't you call and have him go get him right now? And they was like, oh, you know the address? But I was like, nah. So at that point, that's when I finally calmed down enough. And they told me like, yo, no matter what you say, it's just your word of mouth. But he got stuff to support the lie that he's putting. What people need to question is, why would Rob give his personal stuff to him if Rob wasn't expecting to be locked up? That don't make sense.
That's true.
Why would Rob give his personal intellectual stuff to somebody that he don't even rock with? And for better words, I want to say fuck with, but for better words and being respectful, for somebody he don't even rock with, why would he give him his stuff just so he can go around and flaunt it around YouTube?
The greatest trick the devil ever played was to convince people he didn't exist.
Wow. Wow. That makes sense. That makes so much sense. So if Don can get people to feel like, yo, I'm Robert Homeboy, I got this and I got that, then people can say, oh, Don and Rob is tight. But see, I'm a person that like looking through different lenses. I looked at that lens also as not from that point, and you just slipped me some 3D glasses and to put on and to look at from that point. But I'm gonna bring you to the lens that I was looking at. That was his way of telling the feds, I got his personal, deep personal stuff. So how can I not know him?
True.
And then today, I listened to what they were saying, and it was like, well, the plea agreement is still on the table and it's been stretched. And I'm saying to myself, the feds don't normally stretch nothing unless you're an agent for them. What more are the feds searching for? Because they pushed his date to September. Wait, that's after Rob's trial in New York. So what else are you letting Don or trying to set Don out to give you on Robert so that way you can smash Robert? The second thing, Don won't have to show up in court now with Robert, even though his case has been transformed over to Robert's case. This is what's not making sense to me, but then it do make sense. If Don case has been transitioned over to Robert's case, right?
Right.
So have Michael Williams, so have Richard Arline. They all took plea agreements. Well, Don didn't do his yet, but the federal government said his plea agreement is still there. Wait a minute, huh? For the last two plea agreements, when it's time for him to put it, actually stamp it, he fired his lawyer to put off more time. People was thinking to put off more time. No, I said it internally. It's so he can try to exasperate the fact that he don't want to stand next to Robert. So if he's not there, he can always tell Robert, well, they lied, bro. But they just gave you that just because. Instead of him standing next to Robert and they reading the charges off him. If they would have did that, Robert facial expressions would have told the jurors everything. Like, Robert's looking crazy, like he don't know nothing about this. So now Don can get his slap on the wrist, like Richard Arline is going to get, and like Michael Williams got. Their whole goal was they had to fulfill the RICO. Yes, Michael Williams might get 5 years, but let's be for real. Let us go and blow up a car on a private residence that's within 300 feet of 5 kids. Wait a minute. You're going to get charged not for the car, but for every kid that could have been blown up since they found oil residue around the house. So now, when I hear that one of his charges was dropped off, that charge haven't been dropped. It might have been dropped from Michael Williams, but it's being placed on Robert Kelly. So that's what I'm trying to figure out now. Like,
I mean, that's why it's important to expose these individuals, you know what I mean? And these predators, because if we don't, then you're essentially, you know, it's like you're going to live with regrets, and you're allowing this perpetual cycle of Black men being done, you know, in by the penal system to persist, because if you don't take the time to expose those predators that lie amongst us, then you're essentially just as guilty.
So let me ask you this. Even now that I'm going public and destroying this one by one, piece by piece, sanction by sanction, and we know God have Robert, but what people is not saying, and what I've said all the time, faith without works is dead. Mm-hmm. I don't care how much God have Robert, but if Robert don't have people to expose the real truth and mm-hmm. not try to take sides, mm-hmm. then what do you have? Just faith. Mm-hmm. Robert needs people out here who's going to say, I'm not for Don. I'm not for Richard. I'm not for Michael. Shit, I'm not even for YouTube. Mm-hmm. I'm about helping Robert.
Absolutely.
But what I found out in this thing is so many god daggone lunatics running around. And I'm not going to call no names, but it's so many lunatics running around that you don't know who's who, because by the time you figure out, you done got stabbed in the back and you done got Dick Tracy. And then now you're sitting back like, damn, I'm back at square one by myself. I should have stayed by myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I definitely understand. That's why initially I did not, you know, want to come out, because people don't realize how important energy is, and people don't realize that, you know, it's perpetual, and whatever you carry and harbor at your house, in your heart, you will manifest in one form or another. You know what I'm saying? And so right. I know that people can be messy, and you lose sight of what the true intention, the true goal is in the midst of that, you know. And so this at this point, you know, regardless of anybody that has come into contact with Donnell over the last couple of years, like they really don't have a leg to stand on, because you don't know them. You know what I'm saying? You don't know them. So even for you to, if you are rooting for him, you're essentially saying Rob is guilty. You can't be rooting for both of them at the same time. Like, that's impossible. Like, the bottom line is either you for Rob or you for Donnell. And like, if this thing started off being about Rob, then how in the hell can you rally behind Donnell like he's God sent and can do no wrong? And this is somebody you just met a couple of years ago at best.
A lot of these people never met him. He just popped up on a screen. But we're going to listen to some things that Donnell said in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. But I'm going to show this one little piece. It's going to make you laugh. And like I tell people, the quiet before the storm. So this is a response to Sharon Wimbush videos when she said, R. Kelly and his lawyers are fucking pissed. Give everything back, Don Russell, before it gets worse. As I said, and I'm trying to make sure that everybody can see it, his words were, I'll make sure, okay, so the people can see that it's him. His words were, why? So your commander-in-chief, Angelo ass Clary, and his den of thieves can steal them the same way he looted RSK's Trump apartment. Hell to the nah. I'm gonna stop right there for a second, and I'm gonna come back to us. Let's deal with that. Somebody asking you to bring back somebody else's intellectual property, and the first thing you say is why? But 3 lives before, you said you don't have R. Kelly stuff.
Exactly. And that's the same thing that my mother cussed me out about, you know, when I asked her to give the stuff back, to tell Donnell that y'all need to give his stuff back. Like, this is ridiculous. If, you know, it's like at this point in life, everybody should be striving for peace. Like, you know, we go up the hill and then eventually you start going down. And at this point in life, you need to, you know, peace of mind is priceless, right? So if I got your, you know, lipstick, and I'm saying that you gave me this lipstick, but I got Joe Blow and Timbuktu and Pookie from the block hounding me down, threatening me, and everybody in the world coming at me about this fucking lipstick, I think I'm gonna throw this shit at you because it's not even that serious. You understand what I'm saying? So why would you hold on to something that could cause you, you know, so much pain and suffering, like stress? Like, why would you do that? You would just want to wash your hands of it, because at the end of the day, you know, this wasn't your intention. And if it wasn't your intention, then you act accordingly. Well, you know what? I'm going to take it to his lawyer, or you understand what I'm saying? Like, you find and you determine someone that you feel is safe to give it to. But at the end of the day, you want it to be accounted for. So you figure it out. But to just be like, why, out of arrogance, like, why? Like, who are you? You know, that's crazy. But that's how he moves.
So here's my thing. Like you said, if I have something and I have X, Y, and Z, A, B, and C, yada, 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 and la, da, 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 saying, Robert, want the stuff back, I'm going to bring his stuff back. But you went on one platform and said you have a bill of sale. That Robert gave you a bill of sale and sold his stuff to you. The next platform you run on and say, I don't have none of Robert's stuff. The next platform you run on, which happens to be the same platform, and you say, I never took none of Robert's stuff. Then you run on another platform and say, why should I bring them back? Now, if that don't raise a red flag to all the people that follow him to say, hold the hell up. This ain't making sense. Well, if that don't make sense.
So his arrogance came out with Sharon because he's a woman. You understand what I'm saying? So he doesn't look at her as a threat. So that's why she got that cocky why. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
But to the guys, yeah, I ain't got it. You know, I'm gonna lie my ass off all day long. But to her, he revealed his true nature.
Okay. So let's look at the second part. When he said, tell this inner circle, and he know who the inner circle is. So tell this inner circle that you are referring to file a complaint with CPD because this alleged theft did take place in Chicago. And because of the participants, the report will surely make its way to a detective's desk. As a formality, the detective assigned to investigate the alleged theft you are referring to will definitely pay RSK a visit at the MCC to substantiate the allegation. Here's where I had a problem at. Described above in your video. Now here's where I just said it. I had a problem at. If he corroborate your defamation of my character, then and only then will shit get real. Let's stop there. That means you just threatened Robert. So if Robert tell the truth, then you're going to do whatever you got to do in layman terms to fuck him up, as you are doing right now. But nobody paid attention to that. And they support Don. So basically, he told Sharon, if Robert say, yes, my stuff got stolen and Don took my stuff, Don ace in the hole is, I will go to the fucking federal government and make sure you never see the light of day. I can read through that.
Mm-hmm.
But And reading through that, I got to look at reality. He clearly is saying, I'm already with the federal government, so I can do what the fuck I want to do to you. And you better not say nothing. Because if you do, I got those boys that got you. And it reminds me a year ago when Lindsay told me, why don't you do what R. Kelly do and just sit in a corner and shut up? And then I hear Don, or I read Don say not the same thing, but basically the same thing, just in a different word form.
It's so many moving parts to this that it's crazy. Like he has to know that he has fucked up royally at this point, you know, and it's all coming to light. I mean, the what's important now is that in the midst of it coming to light, that it comes to light in the right eyes, meaning the feds, like they really need to know what they are dealing with. They really need to know who this dude is, because if they don't, then, you know, unfortunately, it will affect Rob. He will be, you know, jacked up.
Right. And see, and the thing is that I see people talking about, well, why didn't he file a police report? That may not be his focus right now.
Why didn't
or
he
maybe Robert, but that may not be his focus right now. And then technically, let's go here. He can't file a police report from behind bars.
True.
And he haven't given nobody the power of attorney, even though it's been people trying to get power of attorney. But Rob's not trying to, he's not dying no time soon.
Right. He still has hope.
Right. So why give people power of attorney, even though so-called people are screwing him up?
Yeah, he has trust issues at this point, so I could see why he wouldn't be willing to do that. You know what I mean? Because if you've been screwed by individuals this close to you in the name of friendship, then what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? It's like, who do you turn to? I mean, he's not married, you know, he doesn't have that intimate support system, you know, with a wife or a mother. So it's like, who do you turn to? Because nothing is what I thought it was. And I'm sure he had no idea that it was going to snowball into this type of shitstorm. Like, he had no idea.
Right. Right. And it's like, it's just crazy. My fault. I'm looking at some of these comments, and I'm gonna say this. If you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. Mods, that's what y'all for. Block these people. I don't care who it is. Let's look at let's listen to some audio. So it's like people don't understand, like
they don't want to understand.
And it's weird because everybody's supposed to be here for Robert. So I thought, but I see that's not the case. Can you see the screen, Shawn?
It's I can see it, but it's really blurry.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna listen to this. Okay. Here we go.
You know what the foundation is made up of. So
basically, like, who's a part of the team, who don't need to be a part of the team.
Well, it wasn't the team because we was building a whole new team. I had brought in some guys from Goldman Sachs. I had brought in some IT guys to build digital platforms. I brought in some investors. We did a roundtable meeting. He loved it because it was like, okay, this is a new fresh start, a new beginning. So everything was moving. I mean, we had purchased some property to put new studios in and all of that kind of stuff. And I actually wouldn't purchase it. One of our investors gifted us with it, but we still had to do some things to clear it up. And we had, he had really started embracing this new transition that he was ready to, dive into. But the issue was his finances was kind of in the toilet.
Mhm.
So I covered as much as I could with the permission of my shareholders for about 3 or 4 months. I mean, whatever it was that he couldn't have, it was an investment to us. It's like, this is a guy that we are in the entertainment industry, tech applications that we build for the entertainment industry, to put his name on those platforms, in those different applications. We felt that it would attract, a higher level of market.
Like revenue.
Well, yeah, well, that's next. I mean, but you have to be attractive to your stakeholders, people that want to come in and help you build a brand. So we did that. And then the thing about Lifetime, the rumors of Lifetime hit while we were out on the tour. And it was like, okay, we can't take the next steps until we figure out how deep this rabbit hole is. So what I did was I dispatched a team to start investigating, what we were hearing, the chatter about the Lifetime thing. And
You're talking about the first surviving R. Kelly. You guys were on tour, and then while you were on tour, the surviving R. Kelly aired, and then from there you kind of devised the plan to and investigate, is what you're saying, as to the rumors that was alleged. Is
right.
that what I'm gathering?
It's something like that, right? Exactly. So the first part of it to me was, okay, we've already heard about the young ladies accused, and I've been in the industry for years, and I know how, I guess for a better word, treacherous, a scorned fan or a scorned ex or anything could be. So that wasn't anything new or shocking to me, because I have, worked with some of the groups in the past, the B2Ks and all those guys who have been challenged for so many different things. So, some women accusing him of XYZ wasn't really a big deal. But when we started hearing about the federal investigations and stuff, that's what was like, okay, well, how we need to see how serious that kind of stuff is. So the first thing was like, Rob, where did all the money go? I mean, like, you got hits all over the world. You should be receiving royalties on a quarterly basis. He was like, royalties? Like, what's that? I'm like, you don't know what royalties are? And I had to break it down: mechanical and performance royalties. And mechanical royalties are things that when you elevated music, you played in the background of a movie. Performance royalties are your downloads and streams and all that kind of stuff. Performance royalties are when you do performance, like your music is played at a halftime of a game and all that kind of stuff. Those are royalties that are being collected, and ASCAP and BMI is responsible for that. And those royalties are collected, and then they should go either into the label would actually control that, whoever handles your distribution, and then you will get a quarterly disbursement. So he's like, I don't know if I've ever received one in my life.
Oh, wow.
So we actually got access. He gave us access to his Sony portal and his BMI portal. And that's where it actually started for us. Because when we started digging into it and we were seeing all these ancillary companies set up, he would have like a RSK Enterprises.
Did this happen before or after the documentary? So you guys start digging into, okay, so you guys started to dig into his finances, trying to figure out, where his money is, why he's not getting royalties. You guys started prying into these things. He gave you access into his, you said BMI portal?
His BMI portal and his BMI and his Sony portal.
Okay.
Sony owns RCA Records. So that's where, in the portal is where all of the copies of his contracts, his licensing deals, all that stuff sits in there. So we're talking hundreds of contracts over the years that Sony inherited when they bought him from Zomba, which was Jive Records. So we had.
Shout out to Toxic Diamond and Nick at Night. Y'all can go support them channels. They are great people. But I'm going to stop that there to get Shawn Russell's input. And I will say this. He's the only one that uses RSK Enterprises. Everybody else uses LLCs behind RSK that was doing whatever they was doing from him. But Shawn, what do you think about that when you hear that?
That was the biggest mistake he made if he did give him access to his stuff, because he was able to see exactly what he didn't know. He was able to see what Rob didn't know, because if I'm setting up your phone or setting up your banking app and you have no idea, and I'm showing you how to put, you know, a username in, and I'm showing you how to create a password, you have no idea. Well, now I got your username and your password and you don't even know it, and I can go home and check this out on another computer. But you don't know this because you're not well versed in this area. So for him to give him access to it, the biggest mistake ever. The biggest mistake ever. So he's admitting, you know, to having access to all of his personal information, and that's just that's terrible.
So I will say this. I don't believe Rob gave him access to that. I believe when he broke into the studio, or when he was let into the studio by the same guy that sued Robert, I'm believing that Don took some hard drives but it had some stuff on there and some discs. Now,
but what he is saying in the final analysis is that he has access to his personal information.
right.
You know what I'm saying? And that is the problem. That is the biggest problem, you know, and it's something else because I just kind of peeked at the comments, you know, and one thing that I would like to ask people is this. If Rob was your son and you were here or deceased, what would you want to happen? How would you like, you know, for things to work out in your child's favor? Like, who would you want God to use to assist your son if this was in fact your son? This is somebody's son, regardless of whether or not the fact that she's here or not. This is in fact somebody's brother. If this was your brother, what would you like to see happen? If you knew that he was being falsely accused of something, that's again part of why, you know, I have bridged the gaps and just so many other outlets and projects that I'm working on, because we as a people need to open our mouths. Because, you know, we constantly complain about being mistreated in these systems that don't work in our favor, but don't nobody want to say nothing. So then how does it ever change? If nobody is willing to take a stand, you know what I'm saying? Look at where we are as a people based on individuals throughout history. You understand what I'm saying? Individuals that made the choice, like Dr. King and Malcolm X and some of the greats, you know, that took a stand. So if we have this, if we continue to adapt this mentality that we got to keep hush hush and don't say anything, then how do we rise above this as an individual? Sometimes, most times, we are our own biggest enemies because we know what's going on, but we won't say nothing.
Okay, Miss Virgo said I will try to help him again. And then Lysol said we've been programmed to war against one another.
Exactly. And we have to stop that. You know what I'm saying? Like, keep your mouth shut. Why? If this was your son, would you want somebody that knew pertinent information on the person that set your son up to keep their mouth shut?
Facts.
So think about what you're saying, because the seeds you sow are the seeds that you grow. You might find yourself in the same the same seat. So then if you're in that seat, maybe you'll understand the advice that you was given and the words that you were speaking and how powerful they were. And that's just unfortunate. Like, we have to understand the power of our voice, and that if we come together, if we band together, we can make changes, powerful changes.
That's true. That's true. So let's listen to the second soundbite. This is a soundbite of when he was on Blockbender TV. Shout out to Blockbender TV for capturing this. I believe in giving people their shout outs because it's not my content, it's their content. And this is another interview that infuriated me, that made me jump on right behind him and tell the truth when he lied. So everybody listen to this.
It's really, really low. I cannot hear that.
Because Rob said that intertwined into my business. So, you know, but fast forward to answer the question, listen, there's a lot of folks in Rob Town that have straight come over down to
about people who stole from him and things of that nature, and crew members that stole. Nobody's even looking at. I mean, these girls are all smoke and mirrors. The Honda Pages, the Dr. McGee, the Phase Rock, they're smoke and mirrors. That's what they want us focused on. The real intruders, the people who really did wrong by this man, in his own camp. And even with all of them coming forth in accusations, everything that they're charging him for now is not based on him having sex with any of these girls. It's racketeering. It's trafficking. The thing that they're bending law to fit to have so when he does have his day in court, nobody's prepared for that. And the only way they arrive at that conclusion is because of the people that's right around Rob, the managers that were stealing, the accountants that were stealing, the lawyers that were stealing. The ecosystem is designed to steal all this money from him. And the moment he started investigating they stealing, they planted landmines. So when he step out, boom, they go off in his face. And that's what they're talking about. 5 or 6 people talking about every goddamn body. He was $900 million in the hole that should have been in his pocket where everybody stole from him. They gave him a weekly allowance. And that's what I investigated. So of course I'm gonna have enemies because these motherfuckers know I know shit about their dirt. And we're preparing for that when we get to court. Everybody's thinking we should be prepared for Shawn to face. Fuck Shawn. She done done so much dirt in her years. Listen, I can depose her in 10 seconds and this shit will be over with. There's some motherfuckers like Cheryl Lack and a whole bunch of other names that don't nobody know exist in his life, and Barry Hankerson and goddamn Linda and goddamn Joan and Diane and Cash. Don't know anybody looking at them folks. Those are the ones that need to be under scrutiny and investigation right now. Fuck a Dana J, fucking trying to face. They ain't done nothing. We can get them out the way real easy. What about the ones he stole? Made it seem as if he was doing all this crooked shit, and just to get out of, just to throw him under the bus so he couldn't come after them. That's what's going. That's what we're dealing with right now. So Dana don't know shit about none of that shit. So he needs to stop. He can tell us about these hoes all day long. All he's doing is distracting people from the real folks that have wronged this man and put him in that situation. And I wasn't one of them. I just came around the man a year and a half ago. The dirt has been done already. I mean, stop with that shit. Like I came to help this guy. I've known him since I childhood. We keyed off this man today. I spent over $100 grand and I definitely can show. And if you Google my ass, you can see that I've got a background where it's possible. I've done good things in Hollywood. My family owns a chain of restaurants. I own a tech company, president and CEO. We fixed $3 million a couple of years ago for that tech company. So what am I doing but bringing my resources to the table to help this man? And people like Dana that's throwing shade on that, they're not helping him. They're not helping that man by doing that shit. Rob told Greg, I'm going to switch to Greenberg real quick. Rob told Greenberg, and I'll tell this to him if he was after his fucking phone, and it's funny, he told after his phone, but Dana was not me. He took us in the studio in the back home, me and you, Greenberg, and said, Greenberg, work with Don. He's got the shit that you need to free me in this case. But this was when the case was a lot lesser. This one it was lesser charges. This other shit that became federal and all that. Rob let down Greenberg for that shit. Matter of fact, Greenberg was brought to Rob by Nicole, who handled the Bill Cosby case. She couldn't do it, so he stepped his ass in when it was lesser charges. He's not equipped to handle these motherfucking charges that I just Rob, which is why I brought in Measure off of that shit. And nobody else did. I flew out to California, met the man, brought him here twice, met him here, never said anything about the shit because Rob needs that level of attorney to put a blanket on this shit. He needs Andrew Wyatt, that level of a PR specialist to come in and blanket and control the fucking press. That's what he needs. Not these low-level motherfuckers who ain't never had a dog fight at the top of the mountain. They can't even breathe with this shit. So for them to keep going out here first of all, none of these motherfuckers get along. Well, they don't communicate. Doug doesn't communicate with fucking Greenberg. Greenberg don't communicate with Ray. Ray don't communicate with nobody. Nicole, all them motherfuckers are long ranges trying to sling bullets and get press and shit for their own good. They're not helping that man. And if this will cause them to do it, then guess what? Bring y'all ass together, have some strategy sessions, and listen, if I had some fucking information that was valuable to winning the I would hear him out. But Rob told that motherfucker to talk to me, and he won't do it. Why? Why is it that he won't sit down and get the information that I have that nobody's focused in on? We don't want the world to know. I just want them to know.
Now I'm gonna pause that right there. And I'm gonna pause that right there because it's funny how he threw them shots out there and said Greenberg talked to Dana, but he won't talk to me. Well, I've never said that he was going to get fired. I've never broke up a team. He did. But when you hear that, and then I'm gonna bring something else to your attention too. When you hear that, what do you think about?
He was given a direct order by Greenberg to shut the fuck up. And he did not do it. He was in a meeting with Greenberg and one of the head gangsters in the city of Chicago, which is how I know, and was told that you are giving the opposition an upper hand, because every time we talk to you, you go out and talk and tell them what the fuck we talked about in the meeting, and they know our strategy. That's why he don't fuck with him.
Come again?
You heard me.
God.
He was given a meeting. He was in a meeting, and one of the head gangsters in the city of Chicago was in this meeting as well, which is the reason I know about it, and was given a direct order to shut the fuck up over a year ago.
I know who you talking about, but it's okay. I'm okay with people not knowing that. I don't know nobody.
I'm very okay with people not knowing that name, because it ain't coming.
I'm okay with it, and it won't be on my goddamn platform.
Thank you. He was given a direct order to shut the fuck up, and he did not do it. And that's part of the reason why he's in the shit that he's in, because the people that gave him these orders to shut the fuck up, he's like, fuck y'all. And he's still out here reckless. And that's crazy.
Then I'm going to go here. It's something that I'm thinking about. I find it funny that around Easter time, a total of 1.3 million start floating around Chicago about Don, right?
Mm-hmm.
I sat back and wrecked my mind. How much would 2 hard drives be worth? Millions.
Mm-hmm.
When I wrecked my mind and looked through paperwork, only one person got 1.3 million 2 months before that. That's the person who know Don best. That's the owner of the studio. So it's ironic that the owner of the studio settled for 4 million, but got 1.3 up front, and now we hearing Don got 1.3. So I'm wondering, was the owner of the studio trying to get music from Rob, and Rob said hell no, but now he backdoor Rob with Don, and Don sold them 2 hard drives for 1.3 million. Make it make sense.
Well, how did he get in there?
The owner of the studio let him in.
Well,
so now it's starting to make sense. And that's all it takes is for people who are like-minded, that know somebody to all come together and just compare notes, just float notes. And I sat back and I kept saying 1.3. Ain't no nigga in California gonna give you 1.3, not with them being in a recession right now. Ain't no millionaire in California gonna give you 1.3, not for R. Kelly shit. Ain't no writers gonna give you 1.3 because they still trying to get work. But the dude from the studio got 1.3 from the courts of Chicago. And it's just ironic that now it's floating around that Don got 1.3. How can it be that much on a pinpoint? Not unless the 1.3 that came from the courts was for Don, and now the owner of the studio is going to get everything on the back end since it's already in court paper. My question is, what type of deal has been set in place for 1.3? And now my next question is, how many players are involved in 1.3? Or should I say, how many players are involved in the deal of 1.3?
Yeah.
So now we go from done to it's an enterprise. An enterprise means 3 or more people. I got to do some more homework. I might have some more names.
You in the
I got to
wrong.
do my homework. I might have some more names. I just got to listen to a few conversations, the way people talk, look at the way people move, then sit back and analyze it and say, I know if Don got 1.3, June got something. But who's the other players involved?
Not necessarily now. Don't even look at that like that. Because he can have 10 billion and if it costs her a nickel to shit, she would have to throw up.
Well, I'm gonna say this.
I mean, because at the end of the day, they still residing in the same place. She is.
Well, I'm gonna say this. Shout out to Dubowski. But I gotta put her on the imaginary board just as a suspect.
Yeah, you could put her up there and it might have ran through her account, but that don't mean she saw a dime. She spent a dime of it.
So it makes sense. And since you said that, it might have ran through her account. Like 400,000.
Well,
ran through her account, but Dawn was playing with it.
That's crazy. Well, you know something that I don't know.
Let's listen to another soundbite from Dawn, because I want to get off that. I don't want to get in trouble. Listen to this. Let's stop that there. He said, nobody knows who eliminated Rob's tax problems except for me. Because then he said, then he said, no, my mama eliminated those tax problems. Well, if your mama eliminated those tax problems, Shawn, and emotion, the federal government said Rob have, I want to say, a $3 million lien on him for taxes. So how did your mama alleviate those tax problems?
It's, it's like, when I started my first business, I opened a florist up in Hyde Park. There was a man by the name of Patrick Wuta. He's actually the founder of the African Festival of Arts. And he had a shop in Hyde Park and his wife got sick. And he essentially gave the shop to me. And I began to sell my floral arrangements. I did, weddings, funerals, casket spreads, all of that, boutonnieres, everything.
Hold up. You did casket spreads?
Mm-hmm.
Come again?
I didn't take them to the funerals, but people would.
Wait a minute.
At my grandfather's funeral.
Is it something that you want to tell me?
I just did the casket spreads. The floral arrangement that goes on top of the casket is called a casket spread. I say that to say I learned myself, right? I taught myself how to do this. But then when I went to school and I got proper training, I realized that I was missing vital steps. So what she knows is self-taught. She hasn't gone to school to learn this, and she's missing some vital steps. And so because she's missing vital steps based on that document that you put up, it's going to cause problems.
Let's finish listening to, better yet, let's finish listening to this because this is interesting.
Guarantee you they can't show you the signature, the passports, the driver's license, all that shit that I have in my possession. It's phony portal. It's phony contract. I have all of that shit. And I'm not leaked any of it because you know what? I want it to go into the hands of the right person, Not these low-life motherfuckers who are trying to touch, do books, stay in front of a fucking camera or microphone at his expense. I wanted to go into that. If you want to know Andy Ross' motherfucking tax problem, my mother did that shit. We eliminated those tax problems from him. He's not going to have no issues with the IRS now. Can't nobody else come up and tell you the process that we took him to eliminate some fucking problems. I guarantee you they can't show you the signatures, the passports, the driver's license, all that shit that I have in my possession. It's phony portal. It's phony contract. I have all of that shit. And I'm not leaked any of it because you know what? I wanted to go into the hands of the right person. Not these low-life motherfuckers who are trying to touch, do books, stay in front of a fucking camera or microphone at his expense.
Now, Shawn, he said, can't none of them show you the signatures, the passports, none of that.
And he shouldn't be able to either.
So since can't nobody show you that, I find it ironic that on Hangouts, I find it ironic that on WhatsApp, when people say, is this the real R. Kelly? The first thing that's shown is passports, signatures, bank account statements. You telling on yourself.
Exactly.
But when you put a disclaimer out before anything you do, that make me say, Dr. Spock, the black version, you better listen.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when he said, my mama did those taxes and can't nobody show you the signature, whoa. If can't nobody else show me the signature, how can you? Because Rob ain't give you his signature. Rob ain't give you his BMI contracts. Rob ain't give you none of that. Rob ain't give you his passport that expired and you still got the expired passport, but somehow you doctored it.
I told you.
Robert ain't give you none of that. So how did you get it? It was sitting at the studio because Robert couldn't go back because of the injunction, but that was placed on him. But by you knowing the owner of the studio and you getting in good and fast talking, he said, sure, you're Robert, friend, come on in. Robbed him blind. But then I wonder, what was that 1.3 deal consisted of? I keep the numbers because how ironic the studio guy gets 1.3. But then 2 months later, Don Russell allegedly gets 1.3.
Exactly.
But it's floating through Chicago, not out in LA.
Nope, because I heard about it on the streets on Easter Sunday. Someone called me and asked me. I told them I was out with my daughter at the Grand Lux having dinner. And they was like, hey, you know, when you get done, you want to run over here to Holy City and bring me some of them cookies? I'm like, cool, I'll bring them to you. I ran him over there, and in the midst of the conversation, he was like, man, you heard about your brother? I'm like, what? He's like, he got 1.3 million. He called somebody on the phone. I'm like, you got to be shitting me. He's like, no, hold on. He called some dude on the phone. He was like, hey, tell her about the situation with Don. He was like, yeah, he got 1.3. So I was like, interesting. So that is the accurate number that is floating in the streets, because that's how I heard about it.
Now, if somebody, here's the thing. Let's pause 1.3 Chicago. If I got 2 R. Kelly hard drives, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm saying that somebody broke in and stole them, I'm going to go public with this. You go to TMZ for everything else. So why you don't go to TMZ about this? And then what make it so funny is, I'm about to jump a little bit, is he always say, no, I'm jumping a little bit. I'm going to let him tell it. But no, I'm going to say it because he said it on phases. And that means that I only got to look at phases. But he always say, Rob's music will sell for millions overseas. Mm-hmm. And he said that he will make millions overseas and come back and help Robert. But here's my question. If you have the information and the stuff to get Robert out of jail, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you got to go overseas to sell the music to gain whatever it is to come back to give to a defense to help him get out of jail if you already have the instruments to get him out of jail?
At the end of the day, he don't want that man out of jail.
I know that. You know that.
He don't want him out of jail. I mean, think about it. Like, why would he? Like, he's the one person that can just solidify all this shit with him. Like, seriously, why would he want him out of jail?
And then what I'm noticing is, I haven't said this publicly, so today I'm going to say it publicly. Don Russell is the one for securing the deal for Lifetime for surviving R. Kelly. And when he was, him and Cheryl Max made up some kind of deal. But BH said, nope, I'm managing your son. You don't need to be in the forefront. From that point, you have Tamara Simmons, who worked the Black Panties tour. It's just ironic that she's close to Kitty Jones and Asante McGee. So Tamara Simmons is also the one that's spearheading a documentary with Oprah against Russell Simmons. And now she's trying to formulate something with Gayle King about Jermaine Dupri. So I find it ironic that Don was cool with Tamara Simmons. Don appeared on Surviving R. Kelly behind the screen, and they put a voice simulator on his voice. I've been told everybody that. But as I'm about to play, you will hear Don say, I'm the one that formulated all of these deals. But you know what? Dana can tell y'all one thing. There's nothing but to hear from the horse's mouth. Check this out.
So it sounds like, I mean, I hear the passion in your voice, and it obviously is weighing heavy on your heart. And I'm glad that you're actually out here being man enough to, approach these platforms and speak your mind. I guess the question I had. I don't have to call any of this shit. I got Rolling Stones, CBS, NBC, all normally put me in front of a camera. But the moment I get in front of that camera, I'm a target now. I can't move around and do what the fuck I'm doing. I got people that are death threats to the dumb shit that they are, and the idiots are fucking stealing out here. Cut it the fuck out. You're not helping this man. You can go online and see it. If you ask me yesterday that his fucking manager, I didn't do that shit. I did articles here for months ago for him because he asked me to. So when all the other managers stole from him, I said, listen, Rob, you don't need another manager. I'll be your consultant as your fucking advisor. When I spoke, the papers gave me his fucking manager because I spoke so eloquently and I had so much background that they researched. The saying is that, are you saying that Dana is responsible for putting a hit on you? Do you think that Dana has
it's that? Not just Dana. It's not just Dana. Dana was the media and a few other folks too.
So they're putting a hit on you. You think that they're all in?
Putting a hit on me because it's right, because they know what I know about them. See, I could easily put this shit out right now, but it's not going to help win this case. I'm putting it in the hands of the right attorney. We had a couple of attorneys that came in and interviewed with Rob. Mesenoff is sitting back and waiting. He wants money. We got ways to raise the money, but they won't give it as long as fucking Steve Greenberg is in the position because he's a fucking idiot. Look at the fucking motion he filed. They gonna say his client wanted him to do. I don't give a fuck. If my client did want me to do that, I wouldn't have filed no motion saying he needs to see his two girlfriends. He got a right hand problem and a fucking relative. That's the dumbest shit in the world you could put in a motion. And then laughing at Rob and his ass all the way every day because of dumb shit like moves like that they keep making.
Man,
shut the fuck up. Then the judge said, tell me to shut the fuck up. He did.
So let me ask you.
And then you had a federal attorney coming down and tell you, don't file that fucking motion because it's not going to help. I'm preparing one that will get him. I'm not going to say what the solution is that they wanted to do with it, but if there was a solution to do it, Greenberg goes ahead and does the shit anyway. He's not even a fucking federal attorney. He's fucking a state guy. He's horrible at that. He got fired for Patterson. You You personal who killed the police officer killed the boy for fucking being incompetent. The fucking knucklehead. If you want to shut me up, call me and give me your fucking office so we can have a conversation. But other than that, I'm going on every show and I don't give a fuck who likes it or not. And I'm going to tell the goddamn truth. So at least it's out there in hearing. When people start seeing this shit, they don't come to your ass with it.
So let me ask you I'm going to ask you just a question like way out center field. A price on your head. How much would that be?
Oh, hell no. On my head?
Yeah. I mean, what would be the purpose? I'm just asking you, what would be the purpose? Like, who would benefit from you being removed from the face of the earth? What?
The hell, this whole thing. Shit, I know how they stole what, from, the bank accounts, the treasury, all this shit that they said, the federal money for the debt. I got all that fucking information. That's what the goddamn, the fucking Homeland Security is preparing a site rob on. They ain't gonna these damn little ass bitches that's claiming that he did this shit to him. No, remember, his last case, they investigated Lisa Allen and all the other motherfuckers and got their dirt shit in the, I got all their dirt already sitting in the file. So they want everybody to think that that's what it's about. It ain't got shit to do with that. It's these motherfuckers we stole from him that he was getting hold of. He was going to sue Sony. He's going to sue them. And guess what? They start turning shit over to the authorities and get his ass fucked up and move that shit from being child. That's how they talking about cheating for more. They talking about trafficking and fucking the labor boys, all this shit. How would they know any of that shit? And these niggas phone them and giving them information. Come on now. Read the charges that you're being charged with. It ain't just sex. They tell us he don't pay motherfuckers. They talk because the motherfucker coming to the studio and they're gloomy talking to half these motherfuckers. Well, I should have paid his people. What? Shit, well, I should have paid his people. He didn't take care of his people right. Fuck you mean? If you didn't feel you was being taken care of, you should have got the fuck on with someone where else don't appreciate your value. Nobody forced you to come into this man's life. So yeah, you access the shit that you didn't know how to parlay into something else. So get the fuck on with that. I had that conversation with too many of them motherfuckers and they know the shit I have on them. That's why they fucking attacking me.
So
this motherfucker done, just got information to the right person. Not only is I gonna win this fucking case, but then they're gonna come out to our asses with that.
if Greenberg is not doing anything with the pertinent information that you have, is he the only person that this information can go to?
So I gave the information to Ray because at one point I trusted him. Then I found out he was a low-life motherfucker too. Ray Shalaby, he is, because he did some backstabbing ass shit. And he's leaking shit out to certain people that he shouldn't be doing that to, by the way. You know, and I can prove that Ray paid me for the fucking, I got the fucking council check when he paid me for it, because he wanted to charge for that position. At one point I thought Ray was a good guy. But when I went to his office and he said he had a law firm, he got one office in that motherfucker. I said, this ain't a firm, this is a practice. Where's the goddamn conference room so we can put whiteboards up and put all this shit on it? So that's the issue right there. I gave it to Ray, I tried to talk to him. I talked to Doug. Doug was supposed to come in at the beginning of September. I got whiteboards in my house with shit on it. We're supposed to connect the dots on shit. He didn't show up. Stop like from Doug, he's raising money. I say, I asked Brian sees Rob down there every other day. I asked Rob, is that supposed to be out? He said, no, it's not. I'm shutting this shit down. First of all, unless there's a united front with all these motherfuckers coming together, raising capital for his defense, and he signed off on it, which he can do that from jail, God damn it, they don't have permission to do that.
I'm going to pause that right there. Because Don formed a team because I was spearheading and promoting the R. Kelly Defense Fund, and I masked it with $1 for the King, which came from Levi. Now, because the money wasn't going through the hands of Don, he wanted to shut it down. And he was successful after a year and a half later of damaging the fund to help Robert. Well, here's my next question. If you really for Robert, if you have what it takes to get Robert out, then why everything that deal with you got to be about money?
And why is he still in jail?
And that part, and why is Robert still in jail?
And why are you going to jail?
That part too.
I mean, like, you can talk all this shit, you know what I'm saying? But These people ain't just coming at you for no fucking reason. You know what I'm saying? How many people was in this man's camp? But it's 3. It's 3 people. So what you think? They ain't listening in on nobody else's phone calls. They ain't following or watching or following up with other leads. But the 3 of you, they bum rushed my mother's crib, took his cell phone. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't think they have the manpower or capability of doing this with everybody else if that was the case?
So they bum rushed your mom crib and took his cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he said that he was walking down the street and they pulled him on the side and took his cell phone. That's the lie he told.
Oh, okay. Well, I was told they ran in my mother's crib by a family member. And when they ran in, they started, I guess, up the stairs because they didn't know what unit he lived in versus her. And she said, he's not up here, he's downstairs. Like, she directed him, like, don't come up here. And they took the cell phone.
So if they took the cell phone from him at your mama's crib, but that means he stole Rob's cell phone.
Well, I don't know whose cell phone it was. I just know that it was like the cell phone that he used to call in these threats and all that crazy stuff.
Okay. Because I do know that he said that they took his cell phone and Rob's cell phone when he was walking down the street. Now we coming to find out it was at his mom's house, and that's smart. And to say he's walking down the street so that way can't nobody raise questions of why was Rob's phone with your phone at your mom's house?
It was at her house. That's
right.
What. Mm-hmm.
So, and remember when I said that he said on Phases about Rob's music is selling overseas like hotcakes? Mm-hmm. Pay attention to this clip. For a lot of people, they ain't going to want to see it, so I'm not going to play this man's face. But shout out to the bed bug, DJ Tyson. I'm going to give him his kudos because this is his content. He called himself trying to make fun of me, but incriminated Don more. So even though he works for Don, but he incriminated Don more. And I thank him for that. But let's take a listen to this.
Wait, but if you would leave it up to him, he's doing the R. Kelly defense fund. Should he have it? What we got to raise money for? Hey, listen, he got up a law, man. And I think cars and moving and housing and all that shit and get better backdrops and they got a whole bunch of TV show now, whatever you call it. But everybody else that's getting modest income ain't blowing like he is with that shit. Anybody paying that motherfucker, he got 3,000 followers. How did he go from doing shit on his cell phone to having a whole podcast set up? He been scamming the motherfuckers with money that he brought down in the meat rob. He was bringing people in the meat rob and charging them with $700 from the pop. He would get you up on a rob. He was shooting rob for a fucking longer. All this shit about somebody. I'm putting all his music out. I'm making that public. I'm telling you this right now. I'm putting his music and videos for paying. People, we need more. We need for profit. We need money for it to go towards the world of this thing. We have 3 different high and powerful last name, Red Rob State. We know what they want to cost, and we have to raise money for them. The platform that I'm putting them out on, it will show how much money is coming in, and it will show the money being donated to this firm to represent this case. And it has to be done a strategic way so that the people can't come in and have liens against them and take the money. Period. So there are a lot of liens against them. And that's when the back of the water and state, if he gets convicted, they're going to come out for all this shit.
So pretty much he said he put some narratives out there like I was charging people to come after Rob. I meant to come see Rob, which is false. And then he was saying a whole lot of other stuff that wasn't accurate. And then he was saying that, I got a podcast and all this and nobody else got it because I upgraded from my cell phone to a whole system. And then he said, well, Kel's music is coming out. We putting Kel's music out. We going overseas and we put it out. And then we coming back over here for his defense. Well, if you was going to put Kel's music out overseas, shouldn't you have started that a while ago? Or did you start it a while ago and start leaking it on YouTube? And a person like me, I will see it, I will snatch it, and I will send it to where it got to go. And I will keep it in my data bank just in case if theirs crash, mine's won't. Because now I have it saved it on 3 hard drives just in case it need to be used in court. Well, here's the IP address it came from. Here's the song. Here's the name on the song. Here's the YouTube account. And that's what I do every time that one of Rob's songs is leaked. I jump into action. I jot it down. I put it in the computer and I save it.
Man, it's terrible how this man is being exploited. Like, it's terrible.
It's bad.
It's terrible.
Well, Shawn, now you see why I said that we couldn't do part 1 and part 2 together.
Absolutely. I mean,
we are 2 hours and 32 minutes in.
Yeah, but it's like, again, we just have to educate, and share our stories because, people, I don't know if it's just, I can only speak to Black people, but I know we got this thing like whatever goes on in this house stays in this house. Right. You know what I mean? But how do you help somebody else going through the same thing? You know what I mean? Shine light on the scandals that exist. How do you shine light on the predators that exist? You know what I'm saying? Like, there is no way that the feds just said, any, mini, mighty, mo, we want you 3. You know what I'm saying? Like, you bogus. Right. You out of order.
And my thing is,
you just don't know to the extent that you're out of order.
Right. And the thing is, how you come around Rob for 2 years and all this sugar, honey, iced tea take place. But you got people, and I'm going to use them, and you got people like Will and other people and myself. You got us folks that been around, and ain't none of this happen on our watch.
Because he's a energy vampire earth disturber.
Damn, I never used that. I never thought about that. An energy vampire earth disturber. Let me write this down because see, Shawn give me analogies to use.
I always say it actually in reverse. I always say that's a motherfucking earth disturbing energy vampire. That's what he is. Because he gonna disrupt the earth wherever he goes. Ain't no peace. Ain't no peace.
So the whole time, people thinking that him and Rob are like brothers. He's fulfilling a RICO act on Rob. So I'm here to bust up another lie. When he said he heard I Admit and he came to Chicago, he heard I Admit in the studios of Julius. And it's funny because I always wondered how Julius and Don knew each other. And one name came up, Cash. Because from what they said, Cash was messing with Julius first. And then Don stole her from Julius. And then Angelo stole her from Don. And then Don took her back from Angelo. That's too many players involved when it comes to one vagina. I don't know.
Well, this is a education session for everybody that is watching. I want everyone to be educated and empowered after witnessing or hearing about this story. You need to share this story for generations to come and empower yourself, your youth, your children, your grandchildren, because these types of predators exist. And you have to self-educate. And that's what I'm promoting on my channel, because I don't want this to just be, about bashing Don the Con. I want people to hear these stories and for me to offer resources to help them if they encounter situations like this, which is why I put up, my YouTube channel, Shawn Russell, you know what I'm saying? So that you can go to it. And I'm going to be releasing about 3 videos that I'm doing with individuals such as police officers, therapists, social workers that we will navigate through different encounters in the story, different situations, different scenarios that he said was a lie, but we're going to offer resources after, so that if you encounter something like this, how do you communicate it to the police officers when you got your mama and your brother teaming up against you? What's the conversation? What should that dialogue look like between you and an officer? Okay, so now you're in this situation and you have this situation and it's totally dysfunctional at home. Well, where do I go to stay? So now we have to have a social worker come on and just give these different options, because for me, I didn't have any of them. I didn't know who to turn to. I didn't have anybody to talk to. I didn't understand how it was affecting my mental as a result of being in this abusive environment 24/7, you know, and I'm for 30 years. So, I think that, it's important to not just talk about it and leave it at this, but again, to offer resources to people, because I can guarantee you it's somebody that's watching that has a negative, dysfunctional situation that they are experiencing right now today.
Well, I have a question. And this is about the case. And I totally agree with everything you said. Have a question. If you're a victim, right, of any type of abuse, your first mode of operation ain't going to be to appear on a Grammy show and to get some red bottoms or a Dooney and Burke bag, will it be?
If you are a victim, I mean,
you want to seek help first, right?
I mean, but see, that's the thing. A lot of people don't know. See, you got to understand they broken. You have people that are broken out here, seriously broken. And a lot of people, they mask the pain by drugs, alcohol, shopping. You know what I mean? There are different ways of coping, and everybody has, a different outlook and take on what that is for them. And you also have to understand that people, when they are broken and they deal with situations like that, they operate from a spirit of fear. You understand what I'm saying? So they're going to make decisions that are all fear-based, be it, let me go out here and, sell this pack or rob this bank or stick old boy up or steal his wallet or whatever the case, because I need bread to get up out of this jam. That's all fear. You know what I'm saying? So people move differently. So, you just never know. And then you have some people that are, they like the abuse. They don't know anything different, so they become accustomed to it. You know what I'm saying? It's they like, you see it all the time. You see girls out here cussing guys out and guys cussing, then they go back and they cuddled up like nothing ever happened. They like the abuse. And oftentimes a lot of people just want a stroke. So if I can't get your attention and your energy in a positive manner, then I'll settle for the negative one, because at the end of the day, I just want this interaction with you. I just want this dialogue, because they don't know their worth. They don't know who they are. They don't know whose they are. So I just want a stroke.
Wow. You just spoke a mouthful. And on that note, maybe we can set up for part 3. But I got an idea that I'm going to talk to you offline about that I think will captivate America, that only a male and a female can tell it from.
Let's do this. Let's bridge these gaps, man. That's what I'm all about.
Right.
Bridge the gaps. Let's
So
do
where
it.
can they find you at?
They can find me at L. Shawn Russell. Like, subscribe, look out for the new content. I will have videos coming up soon. I've been kind of thrusted into this arena. It's not something that I was expecting. So it's taken me a little time to pull everything together, wrap my mind around the direction that I want to go in. Because again, for me, it has to be positive. It has to be, kingdom based. It has to be us uplifting and embracing each other as a whole. It can't just it can't lack content. It can't lack substance. So it has to have a certain undertone. And so I refuse to do anything other than that. They can also find me at Bridge the Gaps, because that's what it's all about for me. It's all about bringing and shedding light to corrupt situations in any and all aspects.
Got you. One last question, and before I let you go. On Friday, you spoke about Don burning somebody, Donnie. I might be saying the name wrong. Is somebody that both of y'all know? Some power guy.
Mm-hmm.
Something about Don lied to him and burnt him or something.
Okay, I got a few people in mind, but not
and his name begin with a D.
George Daniels.
George Daniels. Yeah, can you elaborate on that?
I mean, George Daniels is very well known within the music industry. He had George's music room, which was located on the west side of Chicago on Roosevelt Road for many years. And he would always bring in different celebrities and have meet and greets with any and everybody. So everybody knows him. And apparently there was a situation out in LA. George called me and shared with me that Donnell was using his name, to create deals or get in open doors, but some kind of way it was coming back in a negative manner, and George was really pissed off about it. So he called me and he asked me to talk to Don and talk to my mom about it. And I just told him then, like, we don't have an open line of communication. Like, me talking to them about it would fall on deaf ears, and that there was really nothing that I could do to assist him at that moment. Like, he would just have to figure out another way, because they do what they want to do. They do what's best for them.
Wow. So what came out of that situation?
So I don't know, you know what I mean? So people in the streets and that are out here, they know that our relationship is strained, and people will bring stuff to me, and they do all the time. But then how they follow up what they do, they don't come back and tell me that part. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want them to, because I'm not a part of it. Like, I can only tell you, I can try, to relay a message. I can try if I can get, that's what I did with Rob. Like, I tried to get through to her, and I sent her a text message, but I also got my all of her siblings involved and sent them a message and talked to them and had them call her, and she just went off on everybody, including me. So it's like, she don't receive it.
So, okay, are we going to say that for part 3? Because I don't want to go past 3 hours. So we'll say that for part 3. In closing, anything positive that you would like to say to the people that follow Don?
Man, I'm just gonna pray, because the Bible says that, and I'm hoping that your heart is in the right place, because it says that all things work together for the good, and it also says that he'll use your enemies as your footstool, and maybe you just don't realize that you got an enemy in your camp in some kind of way is blessing you, because this dude is all about self, and I just wish you all the luck in the world, but keep it light, keep it short, and don't invite him in your crib. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just not going to end up favorable for you at all. Like, just be careful. be careful because he ain't right.
So for the people that's rocking with Rob, anything positive you got to say to them?
Stand strong. If you know anything, speak up. You know what I'm saying? Because our fingers individually are limited, but when we ball them up and we bring them together, the impact is more powerful than we could ever imagine. You know, so stand strong. If you got something to say, if you know something, speak up. Speak up. Your voice is everything. That's all you have. Your voice.
Well, on behalf of the Dream Team family and myself, Shawn, you are always welcome. This is home for you. And no matter who else told you this is your home, this is your home. You know what I'm saying? This is your home. If you need anything from myself or the Dream Team, don't hesitate to reach out and let me know. And we will try to fulfill the void. We will be there no matter what it is. And we do not discriminate and we don't play the lying game over here. It's either truth or nothing. So I want to thank you for stopping for part 2. I guess we'll set up part 3 because it's more to come. Like I say, I was the only one that started this. I'm gonna be honest, excuse my French, fuck Don campaign. And I brought it out 2 years ago. Even when people that was rocking with Don was like, oh, Dana just messing with him. Now they saying the truth and they like, oh, wait a minute, what's going on?
Yeah, and I was amazed at your discernment 2 years ago when I got a snippet of something that you were saying. I was really like, wow, this dude really has him pegged, like seriously. So whatever, you felt in your spirit or God whispered it in your ear, you just keep embracing that and building that gift, because for you to have him pegged and you don't have that type of history with him, that's commendable. That's good, because new level, new devil.
Facts. And it's funny because my page that had all that information on got taken down by the people that follow him. And they took my page down because they said I put up a video called the tap dancing chicken shuffling con artist. Then I had a picture of the Dollar General up there. And they took it down and said I was cyberbullying him. And I'm like, how can y'all comment for him? But I'm in legality battles with YouTube over that right now. I can't say too much about it. If you look closely, you'll see it all play out in court. I do want to drop that bombshell that even if I can't have a platform on YouTube, I will be opening up other platforms to speak out on. And again, I will hope that the folks will, if YouTube decides to shut me down because of the truth that I speak, I will hope everybody will leave YouTube and go to the new platform, which will be Venmo.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Well, stand strong, You use your enemies as your footstool.
Facts.
Trust the process. All things work together for the good. So, I just want to leave you with peace, love, and blessings.
And thank you so much. And until we meet again, great and peace be unto you.
And unto you as well.
Thank you so much, Ms. Shawn. Love you much.
All right. Love you too. Have a good one.
All right.
Don't do now. I really got to put it down.